and go.
Hi, I'm Janet Glenn. Welcome back to Close to Home in Southington, our March Intermediate Block of the Month. This month we're going to do a little applique. It is basically a 9-inch background square that we are creating, and then we're cutting our shapes, our little petals, and in 2 different sizes, and we're going to applique them to the background. So pretty simple. Just start with the cutting instructions and construct your background piece. One thing I do want to make sure everybody understands is that the seams need to be pressed open when you make your background piece. This removes a lot of the bulk, and in the corners we have a lot going on here with the petals and the applique stitching. Okay, so very important, press your seams open. So we're going to continue from this point forward. All right. So the first thing we want to do is cut our petals. To do that, we are going to use the Creative Grids multi-sized curved corner cutter. So I know it's a lot of words, but what this ruler is going to allow us to do is to trim our corners 1.5 radius, a 2-inch radius, or a 3-inch radius. And what we're using today are both the 3 for the medium gray and the 2 for the dark gray. And of course they give us a 45-degree line, and they give us lots of measurements, which we're going to be using in a second to help us draw our lines to show us placements on our background piece. Okay, so the first thing I want to explain to you is how to use the ruler. And I have, I'll just take this off. I have a sample little quilt here that we did just to hang around with. And as you can see, I'm just going to place the ruler along the edges of my quilt, and then I can just very simply trim the corners. I start here and I just hug the corners just like I was going to be cutting for the petals in the dark gray and the medium gray. So any of these sizes, this is a great corner for quilts, larger quilts. When you put on your binding, all you have to do is continuously sew your binding, your bias binding, all the way around the quilt until you come to the connection point of it. So smaller things, perhaps even placemats, things like that, all you have to do is line up the edges, and this is the 2-inch, it's a little bit smaller, and of course you have a smaller curve. Okay, so if you don't like to do mitered corners on your quilts, this is a great way to not have to do that, basically. Okay, so let's get to applique. We have done applique in the past. I believe it was February last year when we were doing the Kansas Troubles. We did a basket full of flowers and petals. So pretty much the same thing here. We need to check out our steam-a-seam. It's about 1/2 yard. You're going to have to purchase this. These are not in your kits. 1/2 yard of light steam-a-seam 2. And of course, because it's a 2, it has paper on both sides. So it has paper on this side, and then there's the webbing, the fusible webbing that's sticky, and paper on this side. All right? So what we're going to do is we're going to peel off our paper. Oh boy. And I'll start with this one. I'm just going to go ahead and put put the wrong side against the fusible, and we're just going to rough cut this out. And we're going to fuse it. We're going to fuse it to our backing of our dark gray. Now the sizes on these pieces are, probably should have a pressing mat, our dark gray, this is about a 9 by 5 inch piece, and the medium gray is about a 3 by 7 inch piece. I'll go from this side. Okay, so get that on nice and sticky so it holds. So I'm doing the dark gray first, and these are the 2-inch petals, okay? Get a nice press on those. So what we're gonna do is cut this into two 2-inch strips. Okay. So I have a ruler here. I'm going to trim it, just again like I would start any strip, rectangle, whatever. And these are all 2-inch, so I'm going to use the 1 2-inch side of my ruler and put the 2-inch mark on the edge of my nice cut that I just made. So we're going to cut these into 2-inch strips. There's 1 and 2. Oops. There we go. So we have a little extra out here, no big deal. All right, so now you're gonna flip these over. Oh, brother. Gonna flip these over, and we're gonna start with a nice straight edge. So here is along any line of my ruler, I have a nice straight edge up here, okay? So we want to create 4 2-inch squares on each of these strips. So I have my marker, my pen. We can use the ruler that I'm having you work with this month. So I have 1. I just line it up again. I make my second 2-inch square. From this line, I'm going to measure over again. And remember, all these lines, top of my strip, the line I just wrote, the bottom of my strip, another 2-inch square, and a last one. So we're going to make 8 of these, 4 on this strip, 4 on this strip. Okay? We're going to take our 2-inch radius corner section, right here. This says 2-inch radius corner, and we're going to place this 2-inch angle in the angle of our to begin with, so that when it comes out, it intersects this line, and when it comes off this side, it intersects the top. Hold on to this ruler really tight. Put some downward pressure on the ruler so it doesn't slip on you, and just get a nice sharp rotary cutter, and we're going to start over here, and we're going to keep our rotary cutter up nice and straight, and we're just going to follow that angle of the corner. Just like that. All right, so the next thing we want is the other side of the petal. So we're going to turn this around, and we're going to put this point up at this corner. Sorry, it's moving. So this point goes right on that line, and you'll notice I need to kind of bring this around until it's in that corner. Do you see how both the corners are laying right on that black line? Put your pressure back on your ruler, and again, nice straight rotary cutting all the way around. Okay, when you have all of these cut, I'm just going to move to the next one. Here's my square. So I just move to the next one, put my 2-inch mark there, cut, turn this piece around, do the other side, same, 4 on this, and then we're going to do the same thing to the light gray, except these are 3-inch strips because they're a little bit bigger. They go in the corners and in the centers. Okay, next thing you want to do is mark your background. So I have a friction pen and a ruler. I could actually use this ruler because it has a 90-degree line on it, or a 45-degree line. I can put that, oops, forget it. I'm going to mark this. So here's my 45-degree. I'm going to put it right up against the edge of my background piece, the 45-degree, and it's going to intersect right at the corner mark. So I need to literally make some marks that are easy for the small ones, because you can see how this one, when I put it here, is it going to be here? You know, if I don't have a registration mark, they could look a little bit wonky. So I'm just going to draw my line about 3 inches out, just like that. Okay, I've also, and we're going to do that on each side. So here's my line, 45-degree line. You'll notice it's cutting off my corner, so I'm just going to back it off a little bit. Still on my 45, intersecting right there, and just draw my line. Okay, let me do 2 more real quick. The 45-degree line on my ruler, it's chopping off my corner, so I just got to back it up a little bit until I get a nice intersection right at that tip. Draw my line. Okay, and 1 more. And it really helps to have the center one done as well, which I've already done. And that's going to help me line it up. Okay, so once we have our registration or our lines marked on the inside of the dark gray and the 45 degrees on the corners, we can go ahead and start placing our petals. So we pulled off the paper on each of our petals, and they're going right in, so it hits right at that intersection. Oops, there we go, right into the corner there. And we'll do another one right into the corner, right into the center. Really helps if your block is the right size. Okay. And right into the center. Okay. These I'm just putting into the center, but I remember I need 1/4 inch on this side, so I can pretty much see my 1/4 inch seam allowance here. So I know if I was off a little bit, that probably would not be a good thing. So we're going to kind of take a nice guess right here and have a nice 1/4 inch. So we're going to do that on all the corners. So I hold one corner and I pivot the other side and give it a stick. This Steam-A-Seam is really wonderful because it's sticky, and until you fuse it, you really can move it around quite a bit. All right, so here we go again on the 1/4. I got my little 1/4 seam allowance up here. I'll put my finger right here just to hold it, and then I'll pivot it. All right, and now the little ones. Remember these lines? So I can put my petal right in the center and follow the line out. You see my line? It's coming right out this way. And if your lines aren't long enough, if you can't see the tip of your line, go ahead and redraw them, because it's a friction pen. It should just heat away as soon as I press this. All right, a couple more. Oh, my back. There's that one. There's that one. Once you're happy with the way your petals are, we're going to take it to the ironing mat, and we will fuse everything together. And then we get to applique. So your block isn't done. Whoops, that's a little off right there. So see how that comes out? It's nice if they're just a tad longer, so that when you place your petal, it goes to the center here and it points right out to that the marking that you did. All right. All right, so let's go ahead and give this a press. So I usually count maybe to about 5. I can put a little steam on it. It is Steam-A-Seam. You're supposed to use steam. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Just a little bit of heat. Get that glue activating to hold to the back. Notice I'm not moving my iron back and forth. I don't want to disrupt any of the petals that haven't been stuck on there really good yet. So those are on. And I'll do these. and then I'll show you applique real fast, and we'll be done with our block. So the blocks need to be appliqued to get your free kit. So let me repeat that. Your blocks need to be appliqued, all your petals, to get your free kit. Okay. Okay, so there we go. So the next thing we want to do, remember we're appliquing, so we're going to take out our tearaway. This is a 3rd yard. We also have these pre-cut. When you pick up your March kit, you can pick up a 3rd yard of this, and you can pick up a 1/2 yard of the steam seam. They're already pre-cut for you, easy peasy. You'll be in and out in no time. So I'm just going to lay this down. This is 12 inches. Remember, this is 12.5, so I'm going to have a little bit of an overhang. And give this a nice spray with 505. And we're going to stick our block right on it. It's going to overhang, what, by 1/4, I would think, on each side. Okay, give that a poke down. And I can cut off the excess. All right, so let's go applique. So this is a great time to play around a little bit with your applique stitches and the colors. Let me grab this one real quick. What I've done, do I put it down on the table? Wherever. What I've done on this one is because my block is light gray, medium gray, and dark gray, I used a medium gray blanket stitch, a medium gray thread to go around my dark gray petals, and a dark gray to go around my medium petals. This is a great opportunity to use those splash colors that you're adding to your block. They could be the petals, or just the inside petals, or outside petals, or the background pieces. Think of where you're going to add that little splash of color. Use that color in your thread to applique the petals, whether they're gray or your fabric color. Maybe you want a darker color on your splash color. Have fun. Do something different. It's your block, so let's go applique. Alrighty. So what you need to applique is a open toe foot. So an open toe foot has no barrier in front of the needle. There is no metal. There's no lines. Nothing interfering with the sight of what you're doing. So an open toe foot is a really great foot to have if you don't already own one. Heidi, you want to get this screen real quick? So typically what we would have on our machines is a straight stitch, and that's what we piece with. On this particular machine, or on a lot of machines, you're going to try to find the stitch that's a blanket stitch. So on this machine, I'm going to go to the quilting stitches, and it shows all the quilting stitches here, and I'm going to pick the first one. It happens to be 1309. So here's my blanket stitch. It is 2.3 wide and 2.6, the little fingers are 2.6 millimeters apart. So that's a good one to start with. If you want it bigger, adjust it. If you want it smaller, adjust it. All right, so the first, I have the light thread on, so I'm going to start with the dark one. So remember, when my needle first falls, we want the needle to actually hit right between the petal and the background piece. Okay, so and on mine, I know it gets a little complicated up at the point. So what I tend to do is bring the width of the finger down a little bit narrower, so it's not taking up so much of the room at the point. So I'll go ahead and do that. Let me get my petal. All right, so I'll take a couple stitches. The next blanket stitch goes on and then off and then on and off, and I'm going to clear it, so now it goes wide. So every time you take a stitch, the one that goes to the right is on the background. The fingers that go to the left are actually on the petal shape itself. Go nice and slow, take your time. If you have to stop and pivot, stop with the needle down at the beginning of the stitch. Okay. Just like that. So we'll lift, and I'll turn it a little bit so you see how the edge is along the side between, it's literally on the background fabric. And that's why we have this tearaway. It's to help stabilize all the stitching on that single piece of fabric. So when the fingers come over or the blanket stitch comes over, they're always going on to the applique. So what I would do is I would come around this side, I would go down this side, I'd go around that side and come back that side and finish. Remember to start and stop your stitching with a knot or a tie off, okay, so that your stitches don't come undone. So we're going to do all these, and I did them in light gray, but please use your imagination. They could be whatever stitch that you're looking to do. I just want to let you know when you can pick up your next kit. So I'm just going to read this because it's you might want to listen. Begin picking up March's block. That's the block that we're working on today. This Friday, March 12th. Okay? Remember to bring in your February block to get your March kit free. Now, you don't have to pick it up this Friday. You have some time. How much time? Well, you have until Thursday, April 8th to pick up your March kit for free, providing you do show your February block finished. Okay? So you have the month of March to continue. You don't have to pick up March's block right away, but if you do want to get the March's block free, please bring in February's kit, February's block finished by that Thursday, April 8th. Okay, just know April kits will not be available until Friday, April 9th, which is the following day. Okay, always on a Friday. I just want to make a real quick announcement again about Moda. My favorite color is Moda. They apologize that they still have not completely mailed out all the bolts. We are getting 2 more colors in, and when the kits are finished, we will be notifying those that are still waiting for their My Favorite Color is Moda kit. Okay? Any other questions or tools that you need? So friction pen, the ruler. I've never done this ruler before. We have 100 in stock, and I'll see you next week, next month. Okay, thank you.